Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Have One on Me from Flinty. And here you can see a picture of, an illustration, I should say, of Sleuth, well, clearly having a whale of a time at a bar with tons of people just grabbing their free drinks. I guess that's a lot of one on me once you tally all of these guys up. Shall we take a look at the puzzle? But I imagine just a quick comment about what you see in the background. Slowly but surely, Christmas decoration is appearing. Luckily, Flinty came along with a cracker of a puzzle that I'm sure we're all going to enjoy with a 94% rating, I think, at this point. Yeah, 94. So I'm absolutely certain it's going to be a phenomenal puzzle. But then we'll start the Christmas series. It just didn't feel right to be starting to record them like on the 12th of December. So I think having a couple more days before we get started with these makes a lot more sense to me. All right, enough of that. Let's take a look at the puzzle. I mean, it still feels Christmassy themed with a snowman at the top. It's got a top hat. Phenomenal. Right, now I'll explain first that one caveat is not all the rules are on the screen. Because as you can see, even with a subset of the rules, it's already quite small font that's barely legible. So make sure you check the description down below, because that would have the full rules, where essentially there's a lot more lines that explain each of the ones with a bullet point or really a dash next to them. But I'll just quickly step through them in a second. Is there anything, like, I think Flinty does mention that, the lines at the top are really there purely for reference. You don't necessarily have to think about them that much. But the snowman, very cute for sure. So, rule sets. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So, first is all the ones, first normal Sudoku rules apply. That means the digits 1 to 9 in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box without any repeats. Fairly standard. Now, what isn't standard is Flinty really interpreted the title literally. All the ones are given digits. So that's good news, right? So you will have to find them in the fog, though, and where the ones are hiding is particularly dense fog. And I suspect what he means by that is if we actually correctly place ones in here, it's only going to reveal the one, but nothing else around it. So that's going to be tricky for us to solve. Let's see what else. Go on, try it with that foggy cell in box 1 that I have teased you with. So, I mean, it's partly solving the puzzle, but it's very obvious from the first statement that clearly none of these are 1 because they're not revealed. But this that he's actually deliberately hidden, if I place a 1, I imagine it's not going to reveal anything around it. Yeah, I'm not going to do that just yet. Then each region/box has a different local constraint, with the constraint fully contained within that 3x3 box. From the following typical Sudoku variants, detailed rules available below. So there are arrow sum rules. So somewhere in this fog there are arrow sums. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Do I want to explain them all now? Or do I want to... I don't know. I'm leaning towards saying, if you don't recognize these rule sets, maybe you should take a look at other puzzles first. But essentially, somewhere in this fog is something that looks as follows. A circle with something that looks like an arrow coming out of it. It's not going to be quite that gigantic size of an arrow, but something along those lines. And essentially, the cells on the arrow will sum up to a value that you should be able to place in the circle. Now, continuing on with this, and there's going to be a lot of this, by the way, I should mention, is, can I delete this? Yes, I can. There are German whispers, and you can see that from the top that they are green lines. So somewhere in this puzzle is going to have a German whisper, and essentially rule numbers on that are adjacent to one another have to be 5 or more apart. So if that's not 4, a 2, for example, then the 2 digits around it are going to have to be 5 or more apart. That would be 7, 8, or 9. And you oscillate from high digits to low digits back to high. Something to look out for as well. Killer cages, I'm going to give up. You're not really going to be able to draw these, but imagine that this is essentially a cage that's sort of surrounded like that. And then somewhere in the cage is going to give you a digit that tells you how much this block is going to sum up to. Now imagine that digit is a 9, then I know that these 3 cells on aggregate must sum up to 9. That could be, for example, 2, 3, 4. We have Kropki Dots. Thankfully, I don't have to try and draw these. You can see them very clearly here at the top. If that was a 2, this would have to be 1 or 4 because it's a black Kropki dot. So they have to be in a 2-to-1 ratio. If you have a white dot, which you can just about make up here, if that was a 2, this would have to be 1 or 3, since they are adjacent to one another. The Nabner lines are in gold, and the idea of Nabner, kind of the reverse of Renban, is that none of the digits could be consecutive on them. So if that was a 2, for example, that cannot be 1 or 3. That would break the Nabner line. This would have to be 4 or some other digit that is higher than that. And once I place the 4 on here, this again cannot be 5, 1, 2, or 3. Well, not the 2, obviously, but all of that would break it, and this would have to be from 6, 7, 8, or 9. So that's the Nabner line for you. Renban lines, they are in purple. I would call this pink, but we'll call it purple. And essentially, that is the reverse of a Nabner line. So these 5 cells have to be consecutive. If I have a 1 on here, for example, I could put a 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter what order they're in, as long as on aggregate, these are a set of 5 consecutive digits. If that 5 was a 6, I have broken the puzzle. Let's see, we have, goodness, XV clues. So somewhere hidden in this fog, and you can see that here at the top with the snowman, with an X and a V. Imagine these 2 cells are connected with a V. That means that these 2 cells must sum up to 5. So if that was a 2, for example, that would be a 3. If these 2 cells were connected with an X, they have to sum up to 10. Given that's a 2, this would have to be an 8. So that these 2 cells sum up to 8. Sorry, sum up to 10, excuse me. And then last but not least, we have the zipper lines that are in lavender. I would call that purple, but let's just... Can I actually change colors? No. So well, I'm going to pick blue. So somewhere in here is something that looks as follows. And the zipper line is kind of a relatively unique, relatively recent Sudoku variant rule, where in essence, the 2 cells that are equal distance away from the center, and normally you won't actually find a dot or anything in the center, but you just need to see that's a 5-cell line. Therefore, the center is in here. Whatever that center is, all the other pairs of digits that are equal distance from the center have to sum up to the same number. So, for example, that could be these 2 blue cells have to come up to a value, these 2 green cells have to come up to a value, and that value is in that red cell. Well, ironic, have one on me, starts with no digits in the grid, but I'm sure we're going to find them fairly quickly. So if you want to get a bit into the Christmas spirit here with this snowman that's clearly doing a lot for us at the top, and have one on Flinty, link will be in the description down below for you as usual. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So I think that's an obvious one. It was there from the beginning, like explicitly said in the rule set. That's a 1. And as I can see, yes, it is a very dense fog. It doesn't reveal, like it normally would in fog puzzles, all of these cells around it. But I imagine with a 1 and a consecutive 1 next to it, that can only be a 2, that will get these 2 cells. Brilliant. Which means these are from 3, 6, and 4, 8. And these are from 5, 7, and 9. Yeah, 3, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, that's correct. We also have 1, 2, and 3 in here, because we can see that this is a 3-cell cage, all of which have to be unique digits. They're all in the same box. Remember, the variant rule sets are restricted to this box. So we've got 3 unique digits. They have to be 1, 2, 3 to sum up to 6. And given the 1 is not visible, we can actually rely on that negative constraint. If the 1 is not shown, then it's probably the 1 that is hidden. That's the 1. These are 2, 3. That 2 gives me the order. That's 2, that's 3. These are now 7, 8, and 9 to add up to 24. This is 4, 5, 6. 5, 7, 9. Yep, gives me the 8 in here. None of these are 8 now. 4, 5, 6 to make up 11. That clearly as the 5, 6. That's the 4. Do I get? Yeah, I do get 5, 7, 9 are looking at this. That's a 6. That's a 5. I know that the 3 and 4 are up here. So that's 3, 4 with a 6, 8. I think I'm not actually sure now, because I can see this German whisper line, and you can see because it's 8, 7, and 9 are gone, that one of these two cells is a 6, and the 6 has to be next to a 1. So yeah, this is the next place to go, and because the 1 is hidden, it's not shown, this has to be the 1, that's the 6, and that would reveal a little bit more. Here we can see that there's definitely a 4, 9. Again, all the low digits except 4 is gone. So somewhere in here is a 4, 9. And then 4, 5, 6 in here. I don't actually know what this is. What I do know, no, I don't actually know that. I was going to say 5 is not these, but it does still leave me with 2 places for 5. So I'm not actually sure if I can take this further from this box. I'm probably back to this partially revealed arrow is what we need to do. So what do we have in the column left? We've got 5, 7, and 9. Now a 9 can never be on an arrow because it will mean that there's a digit that's bigger than 9 inside that circle. I mean, unless it's a 2-cell oval, the 9 can never be on here. And then I have 2 options. Either it's I'm pretty sure the arrow must end because the minimum I can make these 3 cells, if it continues going on, is 1, 5, and 7, which is way too big. That's already at 13. So this is no more than 2 cells on this arrow, and it's almost certainly got the 1 on it. Because again, 5 and 7 is 12, that's too big. So it's either 1, 5, and this is a 6, possible, or 1, 7, and this is an 8, also possible. Unfortunate. What do we have in the column? So we've got a 7, 9, and another 6, 8. So in here we've got 6, 8, 7, 9. And in here, I'm guessing that's 2, 3, 4. So, I mean, that tells us immediately the story. Because whatever this is, it's got another digit that is from 6, 7, 8, or 9, plus at least another cell. Because it's in the same box. There's no way that this arrow stops at 1 cell, otherwise we'd duplicate the digits. So we have a 6 at a minimum, plus I'm guessing this cell, which would have to be a 2 to add up to 8. So there you go. That's not 8. That's now definitely a 7. Therefore, that's definitely a 9. That's definitely a 7. Presumably, yep, that's the 5. That has to be the 6 because the 7 is, well, I mean, the 7 is just used in the box. And 9 plus anything will not add up to an 8. I mean, you can't put negative digits in here. So that's 6. That's 2. These are not 2. That's now solved, isn't it? Yep, that's a 9. Then we have a 3, 4 pair. And that's the extent of it. Not quite the reveal I was hoping for, if I'm honest. I mean, I think Flinty really did mean it's very dense fog. So I'm just going to think out loud. So we've got 3 cells that add up to 10, 3 different pairs that add up to 10. And I know with confidence that none of them are 1, 9. So this here is a 1, 5, 9 triplet. And the reason I say that is look at where the 1 is very deliberately in column 5. So none of these are 1. And because these are revealed and the 1 is not given, none of these are 1. So 1 and 9 are not on any of these X dominoes. And therefore 1 and 9 are in here. Then the second thing that you should always know about X's and V's is 5 is never on any of them. If it's on an X, it would have to have a second 5 on there to get to 10. If it's on a V, it will have to be 5 with a 0. So that's a 1, 5, 9 triplet with a 5, 9 looking at it as well. So that's the 1. I don't know what these are. And now what I need to do is find a 4-6, a 3-7, and a 2-8. And this pair cannot be 3-7 because I've got the 7. It can't be 2-8 because I've got the 8. So this is 4-6. That 6 tells me the order. That's 6. That's 4. Then I need a 2-8, and that 2 tells me it's not in here. So that's 2-8. And this is 3-7. And that 4 gives me that's a 3. That's a 4. I don't think I know anything about the orders of these. Actually, I do know something. That 5-9 is looking at this. That's the 4. That's the 9. Revealing the Renban in box 2. Lovely. I'll look at that in a second. The 9 is doing nothing for me. So we have 2 and 3 or 7 and 8. So either this is a 3 with a 7-8 pair around it, which this can't be. So this is an 8 with a 2-3 pair around it. And I pick 8 because 7 is too close to be next to the 3. So I think that is fixed. That is an 8. And yeah, that's confirmed. Then we have 5 and 7 left, which helpfully gives me the 3, the 7, and the 2-8 are still not resolved. Okay. Where do we go from here? I'm guessing the Renbans. I mean, I could see that the 1 is in there, just Sudoku. It's not in here because it's not revealed. The 1 is up here on there. Sorry, excuse me, just somebody's at the door. Let me just get that. I'm going to pause. Right, sorry about that. I'm back. Not very long went by, just only a minute, so I should be able to remember where I left things off. I should be able to remember. So, I have the 1s selected. That was just 1s and 1. Could this be the 1 on the Renban line? No. And the reason why not, so I can see that this Renban line, I mean, it could do. That's a shame. I don't actually know that. Well, let me explain my thought. So I was thinking the Renban line is either going straight, and it's 3 cells, or 2 cells long. And if it's 2 cells long, and that's a 1, that would be a 2, and then I've broken the puzzle because we've got a 2 in here. Now, even if it was a 3-cell Renban line, excuse me, let's try that again, that went straight, that's still a problem. Because even if I make that a 1, I can't put 3 anywhere on this 3-cell. And then I had the epiphany that nothing tells me that these lines are not connected, in which case I could do 1, 2, 3. I can't even do that because I've still got a 4. I mean, we don't know that the Renban lines are not forking. So, I mean, even like I could do something very... No, that doesn't make sense. I'm going with this is not a 1. That's kind of the conclusion that I'm being led to. But I feel that may be a bad conclusion. That's a kind of a big assumption. Maybe there's something easier in all of this. Maybe. If I don't spot anything else, I will come back to it. Let's just think about what these cells could be. So there's another 2, 3. And then 6 and 7, I'm going to say. So 6 and 7 are up here, which you'd be tempted to think they have to be on this Renban line, because clearly this is a Renban line. There are 2 consecutive digits on here. And I think 2, 3, I can confidently say, regardless of what this Renban line is doing, even if it's a 6 and a 3, it would mean that I would have to have 4 and 5 in here if they're connected like this. So 6, 3, 4, 5 still works. It's quite frustrating. Regardless, I'm doing this. 6 and 7 is definitely correct. 9, 6, 7. Up here, we definitely have 4 and 5 with 1 of 2, 3, 8. And then up here, we definitely have 8, no, definitely a 9. Definitely a 9, which makes a 1 and a 9 very tricky. So at most, so I'm pretty certain this is a 1-9 cell. Because whatever these two lines are, whatever these two cells are, it's either a 9-8 or a 1-2. And I think the 1-2 is prohibited because of this. So I'm really leaning towards this being a 1, this being an 8-9 pair. Because I just cannot even imagine what sort of Renban construction would allow us to connect all of these. So I'm going for it. That's a 1. Yep, that's correct. That's now an 8-9 pair to be connected. That's a 2. That's an 8, which actually doesn't help me in any shape or form kind of resolve any of these. So now we have 2, 3 with 4 and 5, which is quite easy to achieve. And then 6, 7 with another 2, 3. And frustratingly, I'm not sure I can actually do much at this point. Up here anyway. I did say I could do 6, 3, 4, 5. Then if there is a 3 here, that'll make this a 2, that a 3. So that would be 4, 5 and a 2. And then 7. And all of that seems plausible. I just need to figure out whether there is a line in here or there isn't. Otherwise, this whole thing would be solved. Can I take this anywhere else? There are 1s in here, for example. Actually, here is something else. So 1s, we know it's not in this column because they're not revealed. These 2, plus the fact they're not in any of these, restricts it to these 2. We now have 1s in there. That's definitely a 1. It's just a very useless 1. No, it's not a useless 1. It's 1 on a V, which we can just about see. That's a 4. That's a 2, 3 pair. That's 2s looking at this. That's a 3. That's a 2. Oh, thank goodness. We have a bit of a... We can move forward. The 4 gives me up there 6, 4, 8. That's not a 6. It's actually not given me anything else yet. It doesn't look it. Does mean 1, 2, 3, and 4 are gone. So that's not a 4 either. Maybe the Nabner line? Well, doesn't feel like this is where I should be looking. Well, 8 is now in here, which gives me the 9 and the 8, and yes, they are connected. So that fear was somewhat founded. I can still do... No, I can't. The 3 is gone. So I'm pretty sure now this is a 6, 7 pair, and a 2, 3 is up here, because I can't do 6, 3, 4, 5. So that's 6, 7. That's 2, 3. And whether I'm pretty sure the 3 is not on here anymore. Yeah, the 3s have been eliminated from all of this. So this is now a 4, 5 pair, and this is a 2, 3. The reason I'm sort of was hesitant is I knew that the 4 was on here because it's the only even digit. No, hang on. Rewind again. I can't put the 2 on this Nabner line, on this Renban line, because if I do, well, it's not connected to the 6. I mean, come on, it's easier than that. 6, 7, that's 5, 4. Where was I going with all of this? That's 4, 4, 5, 2, 3. Where I guess what I was going with this is that could this have been 2 and 3? And the answer was no, we've got the double 3 on there. So I knew that the 4 had to be on here. because it's either 3, 4, or 5. But again, it didn't matter because the 3s were gone. And the fact that I'm connected meant this was 4, 5 anyway. So I was definitely overcomplicating this. And the 6 gives me the 7 and the 6. Sleuth, are you all here today? 5, 7 gives me the 9. Now I have a 5, 7, 8 triplet. And up here, I know that there is 6, 9, and a 5, 7. I'm just going to corner these in for now and just look elsewhere. Right, what do we have left in here? We've got a 5, a 7, and a 6, and an 8. And I'm leaning towards... No. I was going to say I'm leaning towards that this is 6 and 8. It's not 7, let's put it that way. But I mean, yeah, because I can still do 5, 8, 7, 6. That would still work. But what I can't do is have a 7 on here because 6 and 8 will not be adjacent. I know 5 isn't, but then that would break this cell. So the 7 is not on here. And then we need a pair that are not adjacent. And the answer is it's 5, 6, or 8 in my view, with a definite 8 on it. Because obviously it can't be 5, 6, and it can't be 5, 7, and it can't be 6, 7. So we've got 5, 6, 8 set up in here. This cell, which we can see, is also still on the Nabner. Should think about it, I imagine. What are these cells? This is 2, 3 with 4 and 5. Well, that's not the 2, 3. So this is 4 or 5. This is 2, 3 or 5, because again, it can't be a 4. And this could be anything. Like pretty much the same as this one, it can be anything. So whether this is 6 or 5, because it's an 8 with either a 6 or a 5, that's not a 5. So I think that's a 2, 3 giving me a 2, 3 pair. And then this is 4 or 5. That looks correct to me. Sorry, that's my dog's asking to be let back into the office. One moment again. Right, that was a misunderstanding. She wanted to go up the stairs. Right, come on, what else do we do? We've got a 2, 3, a 5, 7, and a 9. Hang on, no. The 5, sleuth, sleuth, sleuth. 5, not 5. That's a 6, 8 pair. That's the 7. That's a 2, 3 leading to another Nabner. And then we have a 1, a 2, 3, and a 9. And I can tell you that can't be 2, 3 because it'll be adjacent to this one. It can't be a 9 because it'll be adjacent to the 6 and 8. The 8 really. So that's a 1, giving me another 1 in here. That's on the zipper line. So we have a zipper line in the last box. I mean, yes, we covered all the other variants, so that was the zipper line. Then we need another 2, 3 with a 9. The 2, 3 is not in here. That's the 9. That's the 2, 3. And that was a very hard-earned box 6. We have 5, 9, and 2. I mean, the 9 is not on here, so that's 2 or 5. That could be anything, 2, 5, 9. That's not a 2. It's next to the 1. That's 3. That's 2. That's 3. That's 2. That's 3. Still don't have the 5 or 7. That's not 7. That's not 9. That is very dense fog, Flinty. Very dense fog. I'm going to have to sort of figure out where the zipper line is. Hope not. 3 gives me the 2. That's not a 2. That's the 2. Right, Sleuth. Come on, just... Right, 1 and 2. That's the center. You can kind of see that Flinty was always intending to show us the center. So there is another set down here. And these are the pairs. I don't know what they're pairing up to, though. We've got 1, 2, 3. We need 4, 5, 8, 9. I'm pretty sure that's not a 4. That would require a double 2. It's also not 5 because the 2 would have to pair up with a 3, which is already given. So that's not 5. So that's now 8 or 9. The 2, if it was an 8, would be with a 6. And the 1 would be with a 7, all of which is available. If that's a 9, 2 would pair up with a 7, the 1 would pair up with an 8, which isn't available. So that's an 8. In fact, it was an 8 because there was a 9 staring at it. I think as the puzzle is progressing, I seem to be, missing the obvious in general. That's a 3. We can probably finish from here. We've got 6, 8. What else do we know? There's a 4, 5, 9 triplet. That's an 8. 8. That's not an 8. That's a 5, 7 pair. We have 6, 9 with a 5, 7. How is it that this is still not resolved? That's a 6 gone because of this 6. The 5, 7 is now resolved with a 5, a 7, a 5, a 7, and this is now a 6, 9 pair. I know that this is the 9 because of this 6. That's the 6. We know what this is. This is not 5 or, sorry, this is not 9 or 4. It is a 5, which gives me the 9, the 5, the 4, the 9, and if I've not mistakes, that's a 5 and a 4 for the finish. I think I made this seem a lot harder than it really is. Yeah, I really struggled in this box. There is no doubt that I struggled in this box. The rest of it, I think, was okay. I mean, there was a few of it where I was just, real Sudoku blindness striking, where I just couldn't see the fact that I've already placed digits. But I think aside from blindness and box 2, that was an okay solve. Regardless, thank you for, I guess, the drink, Flinty. That was a lovely puzzle in the lead up to Christmas. And lovely snowman. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. Well, the video more of a struggle today. But see you back for the next one, and bye for now.